And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction. Joining us from Phoenix, Alan Gottlieb, the founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, a gun rights group. The National Rifle Association would not provide a spokesperson this evening. So, Mr. Gottlieb, do you have any give at all? Is there any area that you would compromise as far as new laws making it more difficult to obtain certain weapons?
Well, first, Bill, let me say I thought your talking points were just really excellent.
Thank you.
But if you take a look at the data here, you know, we banned assault weapons one time in 1994. If you look at the National Institute of Justice's study on that ban that was done in 1999, as well as the university study from the University of California, Berkeley, hardly a bastion of pro-gun rights, thought, it showed that it had no impact at all on lowering homicide rates. And, in fact, it had no impact at all on lowering mass murders. And, in fact, it had no impact at all on the number of bullets that a victim was shot with. So the truth is we already know it doesn't work. But when we tried it last time, what happened? We had a 10-year supply of assault weapons sold in 1 year before the ban could go into effect, and when it was being debated on, when it was enacted and became effective. The bottom line is we're going to see that again this time, too. As everybody calls for ban these guns, you're going to see record sales of these firearms. Is what the anti-gun people want to do.
And I don't disagree with you as far as the study and the data and all of that. But why does an individual need an AK-15? And maybe needs not the best word. Would it be better, Mr. Gottlieb, for Americans to say, you know what, I like to have target practice with this, and I like to go hunting with that. And, you know, it's a weapon that I'd like to have. But for the greater good, I'm going to go along, because this is what's coming down, and you know what is coming down. I'm going to go along with that. Handguns, I say no, absolutely not. I mean, we, the people, need the ability to protect ourselves. But an AK-15, I'm not sure we need that.
Well, it's an AK-47 and an AR-15. It's easy to confuse.
I'm sorry.
I just want to get you right on that.
Right.
But, you know, we saw, I mean, I like to point out on national television, on the networks, we saw film footage of Korean merchants using these types of firearms on top of their rooftops during the LA riots so that their places of business weren't looted and the arsonists didn't burn their places down. They went across the street. We watched during Hurricane Andrew people using these kinds of firearms in front of their homes to stop looting after the hurricane of whatever little property they had left. The fact is they're using sport shooting very heavily. It's these sport utility rifles.
All right, so you say in some cases they're needed to defend. All right, so that's your argument. Now, in Australia...
Go ahead.
All right. In Australia, they did ban semi-automatic weapons, and the crime rate plummeted there. And they say in Australia that was a very effective public policy deal. And that happened back in 1996. And they did a study and said, look, handguns, okay, a little stricter than here, not so much. Canada takes 60 days to obtain a firearm there, and they put you through hoops. You got to jump through hoops also. Would either Australia or Canada, the data there, because it's much lower gun homicide rate in both of those countries, would that convince you at all?
Well, no, because in Australia, while it went down immediately after the ban, what happened subsequently thereafter is it went way back up again.
Not according to Andrew Lee of the National University there, who studied over a period of 10 years, homicides fell 59% and suicides 65%. So that's the latest study out of there.
Well, more recent data from the government shows that, in fact, it's coming way back up again. And people are also using other weapons to commit crimes in Australia as well.
But Canada, you know as well as I do, the Australia
trying to get closer to ours.
In Australia, it's 0.1% out of 100,000 that are affected by gun violence. Here, it's 3.3. So no matter what you do with the stats, it's way below us in Australia, and that's just a fact.
Right, that is a fact. But in the United States, there's a whole lot of reasons why we have the violent crime we have, not just with guns, but with other things, deadly weapons as well. There's a lot of cultural, economic, social reasons why.
And I see that. And Australia only has 22 million people. We have 320 million. In Canada, again, they have 35 million people. But wouldn't it make a little bit more sense just to tighten things up a little bit? I am a Second Amendment guy. And I know what the Founding Fathers' intent was. They wanted Americans to be able to defend themselves. There isn't any question about it. But I think we can tighten it up a little, Mr. Gottlieb. I'll give you the last word.
Well, Bill, like you said, your talking points. New gun laws wouldn't probably stop a crime like this, and you're right, they won't. He broke at least 41 laws to begin with. The problem we have here is mental health laws in the United States need to be updated and changed so that these people get the treatment they need and they're not walking around the street
and engaging
with the rest of us.
He did not do anything in 20 years that would have warranted any kind of compulsory mental health intervention on his part. So again, it's the same
Well,
thing.
we're not sure about that.
Oh, our research shows it pretty right now. I mean, new stuff could come in, but right now, it wasn't anything this man did in 20 years that would have warranted an intervention.
In your talking points, you referenced he was pretty antisocial and didn't quite fit in with everybody.
That's not enough.
And there were warning signs.
Yeah, if there's antisocial, there wouldn't be anybody on TV. They'd all be in a clinic. I mean, that's just the way it is. All right, Mr. Gottlieb, we appreciate your point of view.
Thank you, Bill.
And very interesting discussion.